is Jesus.
Hey Movie Guide, it's me, Kaylee, and we are here with
Brennan McPherson, producer of Light of the World.
And he is here talking all about the new movie, Light of the World, that follows the story of Jesus through the eyes of his disciple, John. Okay, so first up, I want to start, I believe you said this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but did you describe the film as more than entertainment, but a worldwide mission?
Yes.
Is that true? Okay, how did that sense of purpose influence storytelling and distribution?
Well, in many ways, actually. So we're a bit of a different breed. We made this out of a nonprofit ministry instead of a for-profit company. And so everything from the very beginning of the production to the distribution and beyond is mission-driven rather than profit-driven, which, you know, nothing against profit, but it's just a different vehicle, a different set of goals. And so in distribution, for example, like we're not wanting to give up, exclusive rights to certain elements of the film for long periods of time because we have a lot of other nonprofits that want to use it in different ways around the world in the future. And so, it completely changes the way that you approach distribution and even the creation and monetization of the product.
Our audience to connect with Jesus, to feel like he's looking at me, he feels for me.
We went through so many different iterations of Jesus.
We wanted to really touch upon that Jesus was a man. He was born in human skin, and we wanted him to feel like he not only had that warmth and heart, but he was also very approachable.
Did the global outreach that you're trying to do, did that shape how you portrayed culturally sensitive topics and scenes in the movie, like Jesus' crucifixion and the resurrection?
Yeah, actually, a lot of other elements as well, like don't touch people with your left hand, and men and how they actually interact with women. In certain cultures, there's different norms and beliefs about what's appropriate, and so we were just looking at, okay, back in that culture at that time period in Cana or in Galilee or whatever, how did they actually behave? How did they actually treat each other? It's very different from our modern culture today. And so in all the storytelling, we were trying to tell the truth about what it was really like at that time. And so, we portrayed them how they probably looked, and we portrayed them acting how they probably would have acted. Back then, it was like, you didn't disrespect your dad, right? That was not a thing. It was a patriarchal culture. So you're not just going to have John being like, screw you, Dad. Forget you. I'm gone. Found this Jesus guy. So, you had to be true to who they were and to what the culture was like. And, kids at that time, at a much younger age, would leave their family and go follow a teacher. Wow. So a 13-year-old would do that and would be considered an adult. So everything about how we were trying to portray the actual events as recorded in the four Gospels was an attempt to tell the truth of what the time and culture was like.
One of the first things we learned in our animation classes is that, the eyes are the window to the soul. Our eyes, when we watch a movie, we lock into the eyes of the characters that we're looking at. And so if you can't capture that loving eye look that Jesus needs to have at all times throughout the movie, then we're not doing our job right. Can we always see that love, that he means exactly what he says? And I think we did it.
Yes, and you're telling this through the eyes of a around 13-year-old John, who is leaving his family and, following Jesus. So John refers to himself as, the disciple whom Jesus loved, which is one of my favorite parts in the Bible. I just find that so funny.
In the third person, of course, because it's super humble. But.
That just tells you so much gives so much insight about who John is as a person. So how did that unique relationship shape how you portrayed Jesus in the film?
Well, again, when you portray him as a young adolescent, which he likely was, most scholars agree that probably most of the disciples were teenagers, not grown adults. And there's actually some hints in Scripture that point towards that, although we don't have any age given to us. Mm-hmm. But only Peter paid the temple tax, and you paid that when you were 20. So these weren't 40-year-old men with beards, right? But if you think about that, Jesus and John were very close, and John leaned up against Jesus in the upper room. It's kind of weird if you're a 40-year-old man doing that, but if you're a teenage kid and this is like your father figure, it's a very different relationship. And so, this mentor, mentee relationship was very vital for John's life, and it changed how he was for the rest of his life. And then, the trauma of losing that relationship and everything that happened subsequently, we wanted to show that intimate point of view of how this kid's life was totally changed forever by this man who became his Messiah.
Yes. I love that. In a world that's so kind of we're saturated with content, this movie, I think, stands out. But in your words, what would you say, what makes Light of the World distinct from other content, both spiritually and just artistically?
Well, I mean, artistically, we crafted the entire world around the culture itself. Like the shape language of it, and it was based off of the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, and because it's their culture. And we even used a secondary art style in there that's inspired by a historical art style in that region as well. So everything was custom crafted to sort of just like be imbued with that culture and that region, that time period. But it's a unique work that no one's done a film like this at this level. That's a 2D animated feature on the life of Jesus before, and made it for a full family, for a global audience. I mean, we didn't make this for a Western audience. We made it for a global audience on purpose. There's billions of Christians worldwide that this speaks for, right? And most Christians don't live in the West. And many people think that they do. It's the complete opposite. Most Christians are not in Western countries.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make a film that spoke to them. And we also wanted to make something that evoked the kind of nostalgic animation that I grew up on, in the 90s with like The Emperor's New Groove and Lion King and all that. And blended that with the newer school stuff from Cartoon Saloon and from other European and Asian companies like, Secret of Kells, Ernest and Celestine, Wolfwalkers, Klaus, and of course, I'm personally very inspired by the Ghibli films. Absolutely love them, and so we're huge animation nerds, and just wanted to make something that was both a love letter to 2D animation, and also spoke for the things that we value as Christians, and told the truth about the culture, the time period, and did it in a way that was artistically respectable.
If a child watches this film and this becomes their first introduction to Jesus, what's one thing that you hope they carry forever from watching this movie?
I hope they see the fundamentals of what Jesus did and what he stood for and represented and who he was as a person, and find him to be beautiful and fall in love with him. That's profoundly changed our lives for the better, and we want everyone to be able to have that opportunity. Not everyone's going to choose that. Yeah. We understand that. Everyone makes their own choice. They have complete freedom to do that, and they need to, right? But our hope is that they get to experience the benefits and the positive life change that we've experienced through falling in love with Jesus.
Absolutely. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. And The Light of the World comes out September 5th.
Yep, that's right, September 5th. And you can buy tickets at lightoftheworld.com, see behind-the-scenes featurettes, get a bunch of free stuff, and play mini games. So come visit, go to the film.
Yes, mark your calendars. Thank you so much. So great talking to you.
Thank you. Yep, bye.